How's it going, everybody? And welcome to the last Bastion of Sanity for this portion of the internet. I bring to you the Last Vox. My name, of course, is Matt, and how is everybody doing? I hope you guys had a real fun, Easter. I hope you guys' weekend was really good. I know mine was pretty relaxing. We had a wonderful dinner. Ishtar got a bunch of yard work done. But before we get any further, you guys have been very, very chatty before stream, so let's go ahead and say hello to people who are here. Za was first. Tom was second, telling me just go live 82 minutes before I was supposed to go live and just hang out. Fortunately, I had stuff that I was doing. So how's it going, Tom? I'm hoping if you're listening, Siri is listening as well. So how's it going, Siri, just in case. Mitzi was third. She yells out, fuck. And then we got Ben C. How's it going? Ray is here. How's it going, my friend? Ishtar, darling, I hope you're enjoying work. Nathan, what's up, bro? B-Token, how's it going? Zeo Gold is here. Steve, literally just got a message when I went live. Awesome. I hope notifications are going out. Excuse me. What's on the docket for today, Nathan? Internet insanity, just like every week, except for the last week because my voice was fucked. So Trump is on fire with the coronavirus briefing. Of course he is. He can't stump the Trump, man. I mean, he's been doing really, really good lately. A lot of Democrats are actually getting all huffy and pissy about what he's been saying, and I just kind of sit back and watch it and laugh. So, and Malik, how's it going, my friend? There's a bunch of you here. It's good to see you. How's it going, Sparky? Well, I mean, I do have a girlfriend, and she did ride me like I was a rodeo stallion, so yeah, I got fucked. Anyway, it has been a very interesting last couple weeks. Some stuff that I want to talk about. Before we get to that, Bernie is out of the race. I know you guys have all heard this already, but as of today, Bernie Sanders has endorsed Joe Biden for presidency. So we're just going to go ahead and put it out there that the Democrats really want Trump to have a second term in office, basically so they can make it so he can never be president again. You're welcome, Zeo Gold. So things have been going on. Who do I think Sanders will endorse in 2024? Does it really matter? I honestly think that Ocasio-Cortez is going to throw her hat in the ring. She'll be old enough to be able to be a primary candidate in 2024, so I think that'll be something fun to watch. And if you guys have been paying attention to AOC, they will basically she has been pulling back a lot on her overly progressive viewpoints. And kind of pulling back and trying to become that moderate that no one believes she is. How's it going, Red Feather? Long time no talk. So a lot of fun stuff has been going on. Do I think Donald Trump Jr. is going to be in the running for 2024? Probably. I think there's a lot of people... I don't know if you guys have seen this. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. But since Trump has become president, a lot of quote-unquote internet celebrities have tried to take it upon themselves to become have become congressmen or senators and things like that. How's it going, Fowl? Eternal Tumbleweed, nice to see you. So we have Cenk Uygur. He tried to become a congressman and got less than 5% of the vote. And it's going to go back to something that I've been saying a lot, but let's continue on. Brianna Wu is another one that's continually trying to become a congressman, and that's, congresswoman, or if you want to be even more PC, congressperson. And she has failed once already, and she's still going, quote-unquote, going strong. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I don't know if I said hello to Fowl, but how's it going, Fowl? I think it's funny that people think that these celebrities are able to become senators and congressmen and things like that, when just because Orange Man can do it, so I can do it too. What these idiots don't realize, and especially because they're online and they believe and it's all the Twitter stuff, they believe that their Twitter audience is going to transform into an actual voter base. Now, I don't personally think that anything like that is actually possible. Except for someone who may be like AOC, who's already in Congress, going for something that they should possibly go for, saying she wants to run for president eventually, or whatever it is going to be. She has some skill in the whole in the whole political aspect of it. Did Donald Trump have any? He may not have had as much as people wanted, but he definitely had enough to where he was savvy enough to get into the presidency. So, be on the lookout, guys, for 2024 to roll around, and you start seeing some really common names. Do I think Hillary will go in 2024? You know, there are still some rumors going around right now. They're very few and far between than what they were a few months ago, that Hillary is going to make a surprise entrance before the DNC. I don't think that's going to happen, but I also don't think she's stupid enough to try and run in 2024. So things like that I don't think are going to happen. I think she's going to try and endorse somebody. I honestly think Tulsi Gabbard should try and run again, but I don't think she's going to get as much, because as far as I know, what she said was if she didn't get the nomination, she was basically leaving politics. Which I think is a weird way of doing things. But hey, I'm not Tulsi Gabbard. $5 from Nathan Marcano. Canada isn't real. Epstein didn't kill himself. And I am once again asking you to support the establishment. Bernie, quote-unquote, Reek Sanders, probably. Nathan with some spicy takes in there. Okay, Foul, I agree with you. Arnold Schwarzenegger did it, but he had the backing of the Kennedys. Reagan did it, but that's because he's actually charismatic and he knew what he was doing. And Ventura, I think Ventura body slammed his opponent hard enough that they just fell off the ballot. As far as I know, Jesse the Body Ventura was a decent governor, but not as great as he possibly could have. Which is why he's not governor anymore. I think he got a little too in on himself. So we have had celebrities in office. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying that the celebrities that are going after it now are not the best of the best. We're talking about Cenk Uygur and Brianna Wu and a couple others, okay? But I don't know what 2024 is going to be like. I have a feeling it's going to be Donald Trump Jr. I have a feeling it's going to be even crazier than it is now. I think AOC is going to try and run. Hell, probably all four of the squad members are going to... Well, at least three of the four squad members, because there's the three that everybody know about, and then there's the one that no one really gives a fuck about. No, California isn't sending their best. But, thank you for the segue, Nathan. Speaking of California, did you guys hear Governor Gavin Newsom praised Trump for what he's doing during the coronavirus pandemic? Now, whether you believe it's a pandemic or not, whether you believe it's dangerous or not, that's besides the point. Gavin Newsom, the bluest of blue, the worst governor of all time, the one who is throwing Californians to the wolves, praised Donald Trump, because basically what Gavin said is that anything that he's asked for, Trump basically said, okay, here it is. This is for you. Whatever you need to help, here it is. So anything that Gavin has asked for, he's gotten. And he has openly stated that he praises Trump for how he's handling the coronavirus pandemic, in California at least. And Red Feather's asking, did he fall and bump his head? Nathan Marcano saying, well, he ain't getting reelected. You're right on both accounts. I think he fell down a couple flights of stairs in his mansion trying to get down to his press conference and just went, oh shit, who was I supposed to thank? Was it supposed to be Governor Cuomo, or was it supposed to be Trump? Fuck, I can't remember who it was. Just gonna say Trump. Trump always brings in the views. But no, he's definitely not getting reelected in that blue state again. There's just been craziness all over the place. Now, one thing that I'm going to talk about has happened recently, and I don't know much about it. I just do know that things are going down, and it has to do with a certain news group of people, and the Quartering has jumped in on this as well. Do any of you know who the fuck Susie Liu is? I don't, and she is flooding my Twitter feed. At least, not her. She's not flooding my Twitter feed. People bitching about her are flooding my Twitter feed. Who the fuck is Susie Liu? All I can get is she's an Irish bitch that does reaction videos to anime, and people are losing their fucking minds because she's apparently successful. I know Sparky knows about this. He's been talking about this. So there was a video that went out. There's a video, maybe at the end of the show, Sparky. There was a video that went out. Basically, that was comparing her forehead or something, and it was used as, it was basically an attack video. Okay? Now, with YouTube's new TOS, not the new ones that they're bringing out, but the recent update, the last update, you can't... No, this whole episode isn't going to be about weeb shit. Come on, Tom, you know me better than that. Listen, someone made a video basically insulting her. With YouTube's new, not coming up, but the last update that they did to the TOS, you can't do that stuff anymore. Okay? You can't. It's called creator on creator harassment. You can't make a video comparing the size of her forehead because it's not criticism, it's insults. Which is why a lot of the commentary community out there just lost their shit with the last update, because they can't be mean to people anymore. Oh no, it means you actually have to throw criticism out there. Who would have thought? So, she flagged down the video. Or at least someone flagged down the video. I don't know. She says she didn't. I don't know who the fuck she is, so I'm going to just honestly say, if she says she didn't do it, I have to believe that she didn't do it. Now, there are some people out there that adamantly demand that she show that it wasn't her, who have no right to do it. I'm gonna say their names because, well, they have me blocked because, well, they don't like being shown up by someone who has, quote unquote, less numbers than they do. So Augie RFC, Nick Diorio, Bo Blacks or Blowbacks or Blow Blacks, whatever the fuck his name is, and what's the other one? There's another one in their fucking little group. They all Tipster, whatever the fuck. Never even heard of these people until they started flooding my feed. They all, and the Quartering, have all started going at Susie Liu. I don't know why. It's completely stupid, okay? They don't like her because she's successful in doing what she does? That's odd. Because they do the exact same thing. They react to videos. Now, as far as I know from some things that I've seen myself, Nick Diorio has a co-host, or Bo Blacks has a co-host. One of the underage idiots has a co-host who does reaction videos. Now, as far as I can tell, Susie Liu has her reaction video in the upper right-hand corner. And it's a small thing, and it's mainly just a picture of her. You could go as far as calling her an e-thought, because the camera is mainly on her, and she gives reactions to the episodes of the animes. This is just what I have gathered from seeing the shit that's been going on, okay? But one of the fucking young punk group has a co-host who takes basically the entire screen to react to trailers and other videos. And it's another girl, and it is a less attractive girl than Susie Lou. And that is objective, that is just for me, that's whether you think she's hot or not, I don't give a fuck. But she has basically taken the full shots of the previews and shit like that, and she does reactions to them. Everybody does reaction videos. Angry Joe does it. People who are entertainment YouTubers do it. You know, Cinemassacre, they all do this stuff. So I don't understand what the difference is. Why is their co-host okay to do it, but Susie Lou can't? Aside from, it's okay when we do it. Well, from what I can gather, Susie Lou, about a year ago... Sparky, I've done it too. I did a reaction video to the Ghostbusters 2016 preview. I'm probably going to start doing more stuff like that, because I do want to turn one of my channels into a fucking entertainment channel, and that's like Cyber Demon Gaming. Do gaming stuff, do channel reviews, or not channel reviews, but video reviews, stuff like that. But from what I can gather, Susie Lou a year ago false flagged somebody. Got their shit taken down, they got it back, and now she's basically... She does that all the time now. Because apparently, and I've talked about this before, the idiots in the commentary community apparently have a set of commandments that everyone is supposed to follow. Okay, Sparky says she reversed it, so she took it down. Cool. But everybody is supposed to follow these commandments, regardless if you're part of that community or not. So, like, if they start going in on Markiplier, who has nothing to do with this stupid fucking community, they're going to expect someone like him to follow their same rules. It doesn't work like that. Okay? I have told friends of mine, Sparky agrees with this, I have said it on here many times, your internet experience is what you make it. You do not have to deal with these idiots. There is a block button for a reason. There is a mute button for a reason. You know what? You can mute people in your chat on YouTube if you don't want to deal with them in streams. Okay? That's why you have mods. The whole wrench no state thing that got started, that was fucking stupid. Okay? It's basically showing that you trust everybody to not be assholes, when we've seen on the internet itself, YouTube, especially on Twitter, people are assholes. Okay? So I have people who are mods in my chat that I trust are going to be there. So she used the TOS, she reversed it, or she false flagged someone, she reversed it. Now, because she has a quote-unquote YouTube manager, no matter what she does, it's gonna benefit her. That's not how YouTube managers work. Okay? That's not how it happens. I don't even know who Tommy C is. So, I don't care. But, listen. If you made an attack video, and it got by the YouTube algorithm, which YouTube has put out, hey, we don't have many people looking at videos now, it's just basically the algorithm. Well, you got. Maybe you should cut back and listen to the TOS. Okay? But that's besides the point. Alright, that's besides all of this. Jeremy from the Quartering, you are asking people to get stuff on her for money. Okay? You said, I'll give anyone $200 that could get me a Discord invite for her. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but that sounds like you want to infiltrate. That sounds like you're trying to move people into action. What the fuck is wrong with you? You're paying for this shit? The standard the standard is just bad. Okay? Because when this is going to be used against you, when it turns around and the same things that you're doing now, like going after her Patreon, going after her YouTube, going after whatever you can, they're going to use it against you. And unfortunately, Augie, Blow Blacks, whatever the fuck, Nick, all of you idiots, you're gonna bitch and you're gonna complain. And you're going to look like the fucking hypocrites you are. So much so that Augie RFC put out a tweet saying, if you don't like the idea that I'm trying to deplatform someone, you can unsubscribe and unfollow me. Well, who knew that Augie RFC, the bastion of anti-social justice, the bastion of honesty and truth on the internet in the commentary community, would be the biggest fucking social justice warrior out there? Are you kidding me, guys? Are you fucking nuts with this stuff? This is why I left the goddamn commentary community, because you're all a bunch of hypocritical fucking morons. So, let's move on from idiots like that. You guys don't come here to listen to me rant and rave about people who still live in their mom's closet when they stream. You know, you guys want to hear about internet insanity, and that's what I'm going to bring to you. Internet insanity. Now, there was a story I brought up a long time ago that, you want me to talk about war on corruption? Why? It's not a big thing. There is a guy out there named War on Corruption who is trying to dogpile a friend of mine. And unfortunately, he thinks he's bigger than he is. Now, I don't think it's that. I do think it's more idiocy, but at the same time, it is what it is. And I don't want to get into that. That's a whole different thing. If my buddy wants to come on and talk about that stuff, he's more than welcome. We'll do a whole interview, get his statement out there, and then we'll talk about war on corruption. Other than that, just know that war on corruption is a sleazy journalist, or a sleazy wannabe journalist, who has a blog, who asks questions that have no right answer. So it'd be like, Sparky, here's War on Corruption's question and what they're like. Sparky, how did you feel knowing that you scared people while eating popcorn? Don't you think that they deserve some justice for what you did to them? That's not a question. That's an accusation that it doesn't matter how Sparky answers it, it's going to make him look bad. You see the quote-unquote journalists that are talking to Trump on fucking daily basis now because he's doing daily briefings try and do these same type of gotcha questions. You know, it's those type of questions that he's asking my friend that are already basically... Yeah, he asks questions like, when did you stop beating your spouse? He already has his determination on what he thinks before the question is finished. So, he asks me, when did you stop beating your spouse? Well, I've never beat my spouse. Well, these people say that they saw you beat your spouse. Yes, but I'm saying I've never beat my spouse. You're already assuming that happened. Yes, Nathan, he's looking for a job at CNN. And him and his tiny little blog that gets no interaction, and his... I hate to bring up numbers, but he thinks he's this big shit who has 53 followers on Twitter. He may have more now, I don't know. But he got so upset that I was playing devil's advocate that he, one, muted me and didn't respond until he saw other people talking to me. And then even stated, "I'm sorry I unmuted you. I should have probably just blocked you anyway." So he waited until basically he could have quote-unquote backup that were not ready for my discussion anyway to start talking to me again. And then he blocked me. So, he's an idiot, okay? He thinks he's bigger than he is. He even talks like he's bigger than he is. It's really easy to get someone like Chris Hansen's attention, right? So you tag Chris Hansen a bunch, you send Chris Hansen a DM, and he has people that will eventually get to you. Okay? So, he's touting that he is in talks with Chris Hansen. Or Chris Hansen just followed him back, and that's all it's going to be so that they can talk in DMs. Nothing to do with what he's actually working on. And if anything comes about from it, it's not going to go anywhere. Guys, I want to state this publicly, because people seem to get scared of bigger numbers and people like Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen has no fucking authority over you. Okay? They have no authority over you. Chris Hansen was the host of To Catch a Predator. Do you want to know why To Catch a Predator worked so well as Chris Hansen as the host? Because he had police sting behind him. He had police behind him. People who could actually go and arrest the fuckers after they left. What he does now is he's trying to be an investigative journalist on this shit and is finding out that he has no authority whatsoever. So, alright. Red Feather, say Chris Hansen goes after you for some reason. Okay? Just say, I don't know what you did, but Chris Hansen comes to your door. Do you want to know how you stop Chris Hansen to the point that he can't do anything? You do the same thing that Onision did. You call the cops for trespassing, and you don't open the door. It doesn't matter how many times he tries to contact you. It doesn't matter how many times he makes a video about you. It doesn't matter about any of that shit, because he has no fucking authority over anybody. He is just a fucking name. Now, it may be a scary name because it's Chris Hansen. He's got so many followers. Big fucking deal. If he can't produce the story, nothing is gonna come from it. Onision is still popular on Twitter and YouTube. Onision has his own OnlyFans thing. Red Feather, you have it right. Tell him to get off your property. You don't open the door. He can't do anything. So when you get someone who, and this is for anybody who's listening, whether you listen to this later, whether you're listening now, this is something you guys need to hear. When Keemstar goes after somebody, Keemstar has no fucking authority. Keemstar is a popularity contest. All it is basically saying, court of public opinion, I have a huge following, I think this guy's an asshole. And then all of the little Keemstarites go, yeah, that guy's an asshole. I don't know why he's an asshole, but Keem says he's an asshole. It's the same thing for... Have you seen the craziness that the celebrities have been putting out because they're not getting the attention that they need, that they crave, that they deserve? Madonna changed Vogue in her song to Fried Fish and decided to sing it on Twitter with no music and off fucking key. Okay? These people are nothing more than a popularity contest. So I'm going to say this one more time. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all that shit is not real. Okay? It's not real. It will never be real. It will never affect you unless you let it affect you. Now, I know this from personal experience. Okay? I know from personal experience how badly it can affect you if you let it. There are millions of people on Twitter. You want some perspective? And this is how you can get perspective and the right way to use the numbers of the follower count. Okay? You have some fucking blonde-haired, blue-eyed, internet little fucking spurg going off on you because something that happened 2 years ago. This is when you look at their numbers and you see who's liking their stuff and you see who they're talking to. And when you see that it's the same 4 people liking their tweets, and it's just the same 4 people circle jerking it off onto a fucking cracker waiting for one of them to eat it, that's perspective. They have reached 4 people. I have, numbers-wise, let's compare that to me putting, I know I've kind of just put out memes constantly, because I'm enjoying how my Twitter is being affected by that now. So take that in comparison to me putting out a meme today about, Mel Brooks. Okay? Thank God we grew up in the time of watching Mel Brooks, so we don't have glass jaws on the internet because we don't get offended by everything. That has, I believe, 20 plus likes. I have reached 16 more people than that tiny little internet spurg. They don't matter. If they know you in person, if they affect you, if you eat dinner with them, if you hang out with them, and I mean in person, if you are involved in each other's lives, that means you can set aside the internet stuff, and go fucking talk to them face to face. As long as that's a real thing, then it's real and it affects you. But if they're nothing but little goddamn idiot spurgs who basically want to use people to get clout, they don't affect you. And Steve is right. Quality beats quantity. Numbers don't matter. I would rather have Wagyu steak than a mountain of crap. Exactly. So, once again, guys, I've stated, I think, for the 4th show in a row, Twitter isn't real. YouTube is not real. Facebook is not real. TikTok is not real. Instagram is not real. All of this stuff is just bullshit. Okay? And that even goes for me. If you guys like what I do on Twitter, awesome. If you like the jokes that I put out, awesome. If you like my opinions, awesome. I state them as my opinion only. Unless I need to state something that has citations to back it up. Which, if you guys have watched my old videos, you know I do that. You don't know what to say about all this, Seal Gold? You know what? I really don't either. Like I said, I've kind of changed my shit around and just started having fun with the internet again. Actually making it something that I enjoy doing. Instead of regretting opening up Twitter and going, oh, who's fucking talking today? So I get to bring you guys stuff like... I've been ranting for about 40 minutes, so let me just calm down and bring you guys something of a little bit of more internet insanity. I don't know, it was 4 months ago, maybe 3. I brought you guys a Slate article where a woman had 4 boyfriends and they all lived in the same house, and she was pregnant, and she didn't know who the father was. Now, she was not the most attractive woman, but she had collected 4 beta male orbiters who are definitely on the lower end of the scale of slim pickings. I don't think any one of them could actually muster up any form of testosterone to fight the others off, so they just kind of went, okay, I will sleep with her when you're done. they're all, to be fair, they're all fucking cucks, okay? In the whole actual sense of the word. They're cucks to each other. No, I already talked about that. Yeah, I'm not talking about sticking potatoes up your butt to stop. Not talking about that. No. So, my assumption that none of them were actually going to amount to anything in this world happened to be wrong. Because one of them decided to beat the 5-week-old baby. Polyamorous man celebrated by media, now charged with abusing said infant. This is one of those people that Wren and Ishtar would both go, we need to veto that human. Okay? So, one of the 4 men in the relationship with one woman is charged with abusing a 5-week-old. Now, I'm not just talking about, oh, he shook the baby. No, he beat this child. So let's get into this and get some of the let's get some of this out, shall we? A man in a polyamorous relationship that consists of 3 other men and 1 woman was celebrated by people like Vox and Slate and CNN of all people, by the media, has now been charged with abusing an infant. What is a blanket party, Ray? I don't know what a blanket party is. You're going to have to explain it to me, Ray. The polyamorous relationship consists of 4 men and 1 woman, made a splash across several media outlets, praising how woke this new relationship is and how great it is that all 5 of these people have found each other. Who attempted to decipher the dynamics of the unorthodox relationship as the woman had become pregnant by one of the men. Ray says a blanket party is you take a bar of soap and wrap it in a blanket and beat the fuck out of an asshole. I don't know how we do that on the internet, but he has been arrested, so I'm sure he's going to get more than enough of that in jail. Blanket muffles the scream. Well, you know, if you beat them with a bag of oranges, it doesn't leave bruises. So, one of the men in the unconventional relationship, Ethan Bakum, who is 22, from Jacksonville, has been charged with aggravated child abuse, fracturing the 5-week-old baby's arm, leg, ribs, plural, and skull. So when I say he beat this child, this 5-week-old child, I don't mean he slapped the child. I mean he beat the fuck out of this kid. And the media was praising them because of how mentally capable they were of dealing with each other. Thankfully, the infant will not suffer any permanent damage that we know of yet. The reporting officer wrote, he stated he believed he heard a pop during the occurrence. During the occurrence, you mean when he was beating the child? Let's not soften the blow here. In the heavily redacted report, according to FHN Jacksonville, who went on to report, the 5-week-old girl's grandmother gave more details in an email to the Times-Union, saying the baby suffered a broken leg, arm, ribs, and skull fractures. I'm so distraught that words cannot describe, the grandmother said. Oh, the horror of all this. I am so overwhelmed with pain, heartache, and sorrow over this. Now, if you guys remember the article that I talked about, the families were not really comfortable with the arrangement that their daughter and their sons had. Okay? They didn't think that it was a good idea. They didn't know how it would work. But these woke activists praised this about how wonderful it is. Mansquatch says when a male lion takes over a pride, he kills the cubs. This beta male just did that. This fucker should be poached and turned into a rug. It's going to be one ugly ass fucking rug. Have you seen him? This is let me pull up a picture of him now. That is an ugly ass rug. That is going to... Scar is a better rug. That is an ugly ass rug. This motherfucker needs, I agree, needs to be put down. Blanket party, whatever you want to call it. This fucker needs basically to be shown you don't beat a child. So, at the end of... Oh, hold on. I passed some things up. Here we go. Bakum is currently behind bars with bail set at $250,000. That's bail. That means his his bond is $25,000. I don't think he's getting out. He looks like if Ninja was a simp, except this guy actually is a simp. But yeah, I'll agree with that. The diabolical crime was connected to the famed polyamorous relationship by Twitter account at CRISPR which is what I just showed you guys. At the end of last year, the media ran several pieces on the expecting new mother and family because they wanted to praise the wokeness of this new generation of polyamory, because they're going to be the new generation. They're going to be the new family. They're going to be... This, again, goes to the whole fucking thing about how woke culture wants to destroy the nuclear family. Anyway, many publications probed as to how a family with 4 men and 1 woman would work raising a child, painting an idyllic picture for the 21st century relationship. That's right, this baby wasn't just going to have 2 people to love him, he was going to have 5. Except one of those people hates that child, so much so that they tried to fucking kill it. But yes, this is the new relationships that people, the neo relationship, the non-traditional that people in the woke culture want you to have. National File covered the story when the news broke. This is basically a recap. A 20-year-old woman in a polyamorous relationship with 4 men, 3 of whom she lives with, has decided to raise her child with all 4 men acting as father. 3 of the 4 men who are currently in a relationship with Ojeda, whatever, live with her, and she was 7 months pregnant at the time. She didn't know who the father was. Well, apparently neither does he, and he doesn't care. National File will continue to track this story. So yeah, this piece of shit right here, even if he is out on bail, if he does get bail, I hope he just stays at home, because he deserves every single fucking beating he's gonna get. You know, I think this is bullshit. I feel bad for that little girl. I feel bad that she's gonna grow up in the next few months in a lot of pain. Okay, she's 5. She doesn't deserve that. Not 5, she's 5 weeks. 5 weeks, she doesn't deserve that. They are so fragile, so tiny at that age. Yeah, there's not much you can say, Zeo Gold. It's just... You just hope that she's going to be okay. But I'm not going to say this is... I'm not going to be that person and say this is how all of woke culture is going to work. That this is what it's going to be. I'm not saying that all polyamorous relationships are going to end that way. I'm not saying that all of the identitarians are going to be crazy, or that they're going to end up hurting people, or that they lie. But I am going to point out another one. Yeah, I can almost guarantee that Ishtar's right. The mother's going to... No, he didn't mean it. I love him. I'm not going to press charges. In this case, though... In this particular case, the state can actually step in and press charges in lieu of the mother. But let me... No, Sparky, you want to hear about idiots? I got an idiot for you. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, what do you define as a lesbian. Now, I'm going to ask you to put your answers in the chat. I will read them. I'm going to take a drink while you guys are doing that. But what do you define as a lesbian? Now, be honest. Don't be snarky. We can make jokes while I'm reading the article. I want you to actually put in what you define as a lesbian. All right, Ishtar says a female who is attracted to females exclusively. Lesbian is a female who's... Man Squatch says lesbian is a female who's attracted to females. B Token, a biological female attracted to female traits. Red Feather, a woman attracted to women. Ray also adds in a muff diver. Zeogold, my guess is that the partisan right will use this case to bash all poly relationships, probably. Eternal Tumbleweed says a woman-loving woman, nothing much sexual, just two girls having the time of their lives. Ray says a lady who fancies the clam. I get it, Ray, we get it. Nathan Marcano says a lesbian, adult human female sexually attracted to other adult human females. Then Steve follows it up with a chick who likes chicks without the use of a strap-on. I wouldn't know so much about without the use of a strap-on. But, do you believe that being in quarantine could change that from loneliness? Do you believe that you being ingrained as being attracted to women could be changed by just a couple of days in isolation? Because if you're actually a lesbian who is attracted to women, and just women specifically, and you are using the term lesbian because you don't want to date men, there's a difference between that. Well, in this case, Steve, she's trapped with her roommate. Let's go ahead and... It's... depends on the horniness. Okay, guys, just let's... Okay, she's not stating that she's bi. She's stating that she's a lesbian. So, Coronavirus Diaries from Slate, of all places. A quarantine fling with my roommate has me questioning my sexuality. The loneliness of isolation has meant that identity is less important than intimacy. Now, I want to point out that this article, the title has been changed. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to have to go through my media, because I had the real article title and it's not that. Give me just a second, guys. I will let you ponder what this article is really going to be about. Here it is. So this is the real title before it was changed to make it better. Coronavirus Diaries. I'm a lesbian, but since the lockdown, I've been sleeping with my male roommate. So this is the same article. Same tagline, same person writing it. She got pushback. She got a shit ton of pushback on Twitter because people saw that article and went, "You're fucking stupid." So let's get into this, shall we? The Coronavirus Diaries is a series of dispatches exploring how the coronavirus is affecting people's lives. For the latest public health information, please refer to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website for Slate's coronavirus coverage that no one needs to actually go see. Click here. If you have a story we should tell, please email coronavirusdiaries@slate.com. As I ran my hands through my roommate's chest hair, it hit me that I hadn't had sex with a man in 3 years. That was the length of time that had passed since I'd fallen in love with a new friend on a backpacking trip to Europe and subsequently realized I was more attracted to women. Even after that relationship fizzled, I started hanging out at lesbian bars, continued dating women, and even came out to my mother. In my life, the chapter on heterosexual romance I thought was closed. But times are different now. Anything is possible in a pandemic. I held up my hands as he lifted my sweater over my head. My desire was strong and surprising. Sounds like something that I should be reading for Antoine Reads. I moved into my house in Brooklyn a year ago. I had looked past the threadbare qualities of my new place, a wobbly banister, skid marks on the walls, and splotches of mold on the bathroom ceiling, for the luxury of cheap privacy. My bedroom was 3 times the size of my previous rooms in shared apartments. How's it going, Jacob? And I rarely, if ever, saw my housemates. There were 3 of us living there, and there was 1 kitchen and 2 bathrooms, but we crossed paths only a few times a month. It's easy to share a space with strangers in New York City and live completely separate lives without learning anything about one another, even in your own home. For a while, that's how I liked it. But when the real severity of the coronavirus outbreak pummeled through the city, I started to panic about my house situation. What if we were quarantined for months? Will we still hang out in our rooms alone? Then the once welcome isolation now suddenly sad? What if we get sick? At 28, the virus didn't seem like a looming threat, but due to my history of asthma, I was growing more insecure about the lack of support around me. So I texted my roommate and asked him if he wanted to have a few drinks in our living room. Dressed in stained sweatpants, I pulled my stringy hair away from... Wow, this is setting it up to just be a looker, aren't we? Setting it up. I pulled my stringy hair away from my face with a clip. I'd downed 2 glasses of wine already. The news that all the restaurants in the city were ordered to close had filled my feed, as had the skyrocketing death total in Italy. The world was changing every hour and for the worst. I struggled to locate myself in the midst of chaos and fear. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from her for being afraid. A lot of people got afraid during the pandemic, and a lot of people are afraid now. The stupidity of this is her justification. So we're going to get there. We'll get there. He showed up with a bottle of wine and a smile. We sunk down on opposite ends of the couch, offloading our anxieties about the pandemic. Why had I never noticed his mop of curly hair? It doesn't say how long she's been in isolation. This could have been a day. We don't know. It could have been an hour. It could have been a month. But it doesn't sound like from her description she's been in isolation long. His almond-shaped eyes. After a bottle of wine, our feet accidentally touched. I yanked them back. We drank another bottle. I could feel his eyes on me, but I couldn't return his gaze. He reached for my hand and asked in a hushed tone if he could kiss me. Hold on. Is this going to turn into a Me Too thing? If this is going to turn into a Me Too thing, we need to discuss a lot more, because this doesn't sound like it was too consensual if we're going by if they're going by their standards. For a sliver of a second, I wondered if he'd hurt me if I said no. There we go. But that worry was eclipsed by my, they say desire, let's just say what it is. It was eclipsed by my horniness. My ache for touch and spontaneity during a time when the chances for both were rapidly diminishing. So apparently, she couldn't just use her vibrator. She couldn't just use her fingers. She wanted someone else to touch her. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand someone else's touch is so much better. But if you are actually a lesbian and you have sworn off men, this is not the way to go about it. Yeah, she was worried he was going to beat her up if she said no. Once we kissed, I couldn't stop.
I didn't feel the dread I felt before with men, because you were drunk. I didn't feel the pressure to feign pleasure, because you were drunk and your inhibitions were gone. I wanted him, for real. When we went back to his room, I jumped in the shower. Whatever the hookup meant about my identity, was I bi now? Was I succumbing all over again to the romantic rom-com fantasies of my youth? Or it was just a phase. I couldn't help but smile at the possibility of a quarantine romance. But the next day, when he didn't text me or come out of his room, I started to panic. Would we go back to being strangers after this? Each hour my phone remained still. I felt used and more ridiculous for imagining that we could have a relationship.
You had drunk sex. That's all you had. This wasn't the start of a relationship. You two got plastered off of 2 bottles of wine and you boned. You both were horny. That's all it was. This was a quote-unquote hookup. You even stated the hookup. I don't know. At around 5 o'clock, he texted me to hang out. We drank again. We talked. It became clear through the fog of my fantasy that he wasn't interested in or emotionally capable of having an end-of-the-world romance, but did want to hang out and have sex with me at night. Oh no! Are you saying a guy who you live with that you know nothing about? You've even stated you knew nothing about? Doesn't want to instantly jump into a relationship with you because you boned? And he just wants to become friends with bennies?
You know, maybe your problems with your relationships in the past weren't necessarily the other person's problems. Maybe they're yours. I thought about it. Would I be okay with having sex with my roommate without developing a relationship? Most people nowadays, yeah, they're okay with this type of stuff. Now, the problem is of course, sex brings out emotion. Especially women, I'm sorry, it happens especially with you. Guys are more easily abated by not having those feelings that when it comes to sex. Would the desire for men he'd rekindled seem somehow false post-isolation, out in the fresh air? I wasn't sure about the future, about what to do now, but then he ran his hands up my leg, and we boned again because I'm a horny slut. Forgive me for calling her that, but let's put it that way. You're using your horniness to try and state some ideological gain that having sex is going to change the way that you view yourself. Listen, if you are not emotionally confident in yourself, maybe you shouldn't be having sex. Because if you came out and said that to your parents, I'm a lesbian, and suddenly you show up with boyfriend number 10, I don't know how many she's had before, they're going to question you. Now, are you bi? No, you're horny. You wanted dick. Not a big deal. Putting out this article, putting out this as a coronavirus confession? Come on. This was just trying to bring some attention to you, which you got, just not the attention that you wanted. You're not a lesbian. Don't state that you are. Because this whole thing brings up the whole, are you born this way or do you choose to be this way? Now, nature or nurture. Okay? There are people who say that she was born this way. Well, that means she's choosing. She's choosing to fight against. She's choosing to have sex with men because of some patriarchal bullshit. If she's choosing to be lesbian, then she is choosing to fight the patriarchy by dating women and be outside the norm, which, let's face it, in today's day and age, being a lesbian is not that big of a deal. Being bisexual is not that big of a deal. Being gay is not that big of a deal. But going back to sleeping with men, she is giving in to that patriarchal nature that society has oppressed upon her. And she is being forced by this man to drink wine and have a booty call while they're in lockdown because she can't go anywhere. See, the patriarchy has actually created this virus to make sure that lesbians who have male roommates are now forced to have sex with them. Because patriarchy. I mean, it makes sense to me. There's actually an article out there. I didn't bring it up because it's fucking stupid. And I think it's by Vox. No, Red Feather, she may have initiated it, but it was societal norms pressuring her to initiate. You see, he asked if he could kiss her, and she felt scared, and then he kissed her anyway. So she initiated the drink, that's about it. She initiated the contact, but she did not initiate. That's all patriarchy. That's all the man's fault. So when she goes to her female friends, when she's upset at him, it's going to be coming out that he forced her to do this, and he's going to get Me Too'd. So the article stated that basically women are sharing the brunt. Women are getting the brunt of the coronavirus. Now, that sounds weird. How are women getting the brunt of the coronavirus? Well, it says women are getting the brunt of the coronavirus because more men have been affected by it. So women have to be out in the workforce more. Okay, isn't that what you wanted? Come on. That's what happens. You are now being relied upon by society. So this is just more stupidity. Like it goes back to the whole saying, asteroid to destroy the world, women affected more. So it is what it is. It's absolute ridiculousness. But let's move on. Actually, guys, I will be right back, and then we will talk about... Well, we'll talk about racism. So, sit tight, listen to some music. Quarren Queens? Nice. Alright, I will be right back, guys. No. That's not what happened. Ishtar is doing some stuff in the backyard. She's at work right now. I needed to move the sprinkler. Anyway, I have returned. Y'all a bunch of perverts. But I can't say that it's not something that isn't warranted with some of the stuff I talk about on this show. I'm doing okay today. Can't complain. I no longer... Yes, I remembered. My throat is still a little scratchy every once in a while, but other than that, I feel fine. But, we all know about Trump saying that it's a Chinese virus, everything like that. There was a tweet going around. I don't know if this has the tweet in it. Wow, this is a long-ass article. We may not get through all of it. I don't know if we're going to do a cringe book club this week. We may do an Antoine Reads on Thursday. We still have to get through My Immortal. But, ask any Asian person who the most racist type of person is. And all of them, all Asian people will say other Asians. Japanese people will say Chinese. Chinese people will say Korean. Korean people will say, Japanese. I don't consider that cringe book club. Like, cringe book club is a thing from Army of Snarkness that is specifically supposed to be Antoine reading cringe. We're reading My Immortal as a pair, basically, doing voices and things like that, so it's not necessarily cringe book club, if you catch my drift. So I did label it last week because it was on a Tuesday, which we did for Sarah, breaking Sarah. Stop arguing with me, woman. Anyway, coronavirus racism. Chinese city bans black people from hotels, apartments, and restaurants. Now, they are saying that there are a lot of people, a lot of the people who are affected with coronavirus are black. They are people of color. Well, in China, they're not letting them into places. So this is from Breitbart, so take it with a grain of salt. But we're gonna go through this. Yes, the Kung flu, the commie cough, pinko pox, batty bronchitis, and the Wuhan whooping cough. God damn, Nathan. That needs to be like a slogan for something. African residents of Guangzhou, southern China, reportedly found themselves sleeping on the street this week as renters arbitrarily evicted them. Hotels banned them, and restaurants refused to serve them food. The Africans, many businessmen, students, and others from places like Nigeria, Kenya, and Zimbabwe, say they are also being subject to arbitrary coronavirus testing and still shunned when they test negative. Many have spent years in China without leaving, unlike their Chinese neighbors, making the Communist Party's explanation that travelers from abroad require more isolation and testing to prevent imported cases of Chinese coronavirus not applicable. Oh, how's it going, Wolvania? Says, forgot the Wuhan Wiggles. That's another good one. The Chinese coronavirus, currently behind a pandemic sweeping through most of the world, has had a markedly more muted effect in sub-Saharan Africa than other places, though some speculate this is to be a product of many countries in the region having insufficient access to testing. Also, the Chinese virus has a lot more deadlier viruses to deal with. Like coronavirus walked into Africa, and Ebola and AIDS and Zika and West Nile all stood there and were like, "You went into the wrong neighborhood, bitch." So they have coronavirus has a lot more deadlier things to worry about than dealing with actually infecting most of the people in Africa. China is the origin country of the virus, and its government actively silenced medical professionals sharing hygiene tips for months, enabling the spread of the virus to such a degree that one study found the Communist Party responsible for as many as 95% of the world's coronavirus cases. Now, like I said, that this is Breitbart. Take it for what you want. The virus did start in China. China is putting out things that saying it started in Idaho. It's like, get the fuck out of here. The vast majority of Chinese coronavirus cases in Guangzhou are Chinese nationals. Despite this, many Chinese in Guangzhou are blaming Africans from the Chinese virus. I think they meant for the Chinese virus. Multiple outlets citing locals in Guangzhou reported that the government has begun arbitrary Chinese coronavirus testing of black people and ordered restaurants and other service businesses not to serve black people. Many who were tested say they are not giving any results, so they have no idea if they are coronavirus carriers. Others say they are told they tested negative but are still forced into what amounts as house arrest. And note that the Chinese of Guangzhou are not facing similar treatment. So I'm going to stop right there. We're going to read more about this, but I want to point something out. You see this on Twitter, not this specifically, this racism, but you see this happen. What I'm about to say happen on Twitter a lot. Everything is oppression. You disagreed with my opinion? That's oppression. You pointed out statistics that are factually accurate that go against my opinion? That's oppression. You made a bad joke. You and everyone who laughed at your joke is racist. You owe us all reparations. AOC is claiming that we need to add more money to the bill that is supposed to give everybody $1,200 and plus an additional $500 for children. Each child needs to have more money added to it because of the oppression that is happening to the illegal immigrants that are not going to be getting money for this. Because it is affecting black and brown communities more. So that is racism, that is ingrained racism and oppression. America is the most racist fucking country ever. You know, all of the POCs out there, they're not allowed to do a goddamn thing. We can't let them do anything. They just have to sit there, and we are all just racist bigots that are trying to get ours. We're just trying to make it the most white-owned country ever, and we just hate all other nationalities. We see that. We see that on Twitter all the time. We hear about it all the time. We have journalists who are working for the Chinese government who are going to press conferences and trying to ask Donald Trump gotcha questions. What I just read out about China is actual racism and oppression. People getting, because of the color of their skin and where they're from, and because they're not Chinese, or they're not, Chinese nationalists, they're being kicked out of their homes. They're being told that they can't eat places. They're being treated poorly. You see, we had this. We had this before. We had this in the 50s. Right? We don't have this anymore. Now, regardless of what people say, regardless of how many times they try and tell you, America is not racist. America is still the melting pot of the world. We have more nationalities in this country than any other place, probably besides the EU. But the EU is made up of multiple different countries, where our single country has more people, more immigrants than any other country out there. But we're somehow fucking racist. Sure we are. let's continue. I've been sleeping under the bridge for 4 days with no food to eat. I cannot buy food anywhere. No shops or restaurants will serve me. Tony Matthias, a Ugandan student, told Agence France Presse, AFP, in an article published Saturday. We're like beggars on the street. You see, woke people, that's racism. That's oppression. Not the shit that you think is oppression because someone doesn't agree with your opinion on Twitter. How's it going, damn alien? This is what? The days of the week aren't confusing enough right now. You're supposed to be streaming on Sunday and second Saturday, not first Saturday. Technically, I can stream whenever the hell I want. Normally, I will stream Last Vox on Sundays. But because it was Easter, I decided to spend the day with Ishtar. So that's why I'm streaming today. I will be back to my normal streaming Sundays this upcoming Sunday. At least I hope. Everywhere the police see us, they will come and pursue us and tell us to go home. But where can we go? An unnamed Nigerian businessman told the outlet. Even if we have a negative test result, police don't let us stay in our accommodation, and they don't give us a reason why. Another Nigerian identified as Denny told AFP. AFP found evidence that all black people, not only those from Africa, faced similar treatment in the city. $2 from Nathan Marcano says the EU isn't real. Well, it is real, but it just doesn't involve the United Kingdom anymore. There is just this crazy fear that anybody who's African might have been in contact with someone who was sick. A black Canadian told the AFP. Kenyan newspapers have also noted that Chinese social media, heavily controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, and are purged of any content Beijing disagrees with, have become home to a torrent of abuse online, with many Chinese internet users posting racist comments and calling for all Africans to be deported. Do you notice that no one is talking about this on Twitter? I don't see any of these woke nationalists, these woke idiots. I don't see any of these, SJW morons talking about this. Where is Justin Trudeau, speaking of Canada, where is Justin Trudeau and his bleeding vagina about bringing in about China treating all of these black people this way? Do you want to know why they won't talk about it? It's very simple. Because it goes against the narrative that only white people are racist. The last time I talked about racism on the Last Vox was about an algorithm that was pointing out hate speech and racist speech on Twitter. And unfortunately, it seemed to be that the algorithm that they had created said that mainly the racism was coming from black people. But they changed that to say it couldn't be that the people of color on Twitter are racist. It was actually the programmers of the computer algorithm that were racist and causing the bias. YouTube deleted something of yours, Steve? Sorry to hear that. Oh, I know Twitter doesn't talk about real problems. Why do you think over the last 2 weeks, we've seen nothing about identity politics? Because there's actual news going on. But yeah, they won't bring this up. They won't talk about the racism going on, and it's not even Breitbart that's reporting it. It's the AFP. What the fuck was it called? The Agence France Presse. I know I butchered that. Don't care. But this is an agency from France that is doing this. The Breitbart is just covering it. They're not going to talk about this shit. Do you want to know who's going to talk about this shit? People like me, people like Tim Pool, people like Matt Christensen, people like you guys who find out about it. And when you say this to other people on Twitter, They're going, no, that doesn't happen. Where's your source? And then you bring up Breitbart, and they're like, oh, it's just fucking Breitbart. Breitbart's a bunch of liars. Yes, a French press agency. So, where was I? Reuters reported on Saturday that a group of African ambassadors in China issued a letter to the Communist Party top diplomat Wang Yi demanding Beijing stop stigmatization and discrimination against Africans in Guangzhou. See, this is from Reuters. Reuters is even talking about this. Reuters is talking about this, but no other major news corporation is. CNN's not talking about it. MSNBC's not talking about it. Do you want to know what they're talking about? They're talking about impeachment 2.0. Talking about how they're going to get Trump impeached again. Where it's not going to fucking do a goddamn thing. Yes, China treats its own people like shit. I'm not disagreeing with that. The group of African ambassadors in Beijing immediately demands the cessation of forceful testing, quarantine, and other inhumane treatments meted out to Africans. Reuters quoted the letter as saying, several diplomats from nations like Ghana, Kenya, and Zimbabwe also reportedly either summoned ambassadors in their countries or otherwise alerted China to their displeasure at the abuse of their citizens. And I know for a fact these places are like, why isn't America talking about this? What can't we get big bad America to back us up on this? Oh wait, that's right. We spent the last 4 years calling them idiots and saying they're racist and that their president's a horrible person. Yeah, it's not racist, it's just communist. Yeah. Many African governments that represent the nations sending businessmen and others to cities like Guangzhou, a port city of nearly 15 million, joined China's Belt and Road Initiative, the Communist Party's plan to dominate the world's most important shipping and transport routes. As part of the plan, China offers predatory loans to African leaders in exchange for offerings to build high-tech infrastructure in underdeveloped areas. The countries use the predatory loans to pay Chinese workers to build these projects, meaning China gets paid with the original money and then again with debt payments. That's so underhanded, it's beautiful. Wow. That loan sharks need to learn from the Chinese government. They pay these people predatory loans with the promise of letting them develop factories and shit in underdeveloped countries, and then charge them not only for the loan, but have them get paid by new money. That's fucking brilliant. Loan sharks. The result has been widespread abuse of African workers and racism against Africans in their own countries. With stakes worth billions of dollars in business ranging from agricultural to oil, gas, and construction, China's Greek gift economic assistance is increasing unemployment and worsening job creation in Nigeria. Nigerian journalist, not saying that name, warned in August. It's such a pathetic situation that Nigerians are slaves in their country to Chinese exploiters. But, of course, we're not going to hear about this stuff. We're not going to hear that China is racist to black people, or that they're forcing people to sleep on the streets because of the color of their skin. We're not going to hear about that. Alright, what is this? Do you guys want... Okay. We're gonna stop talking about that because it's just gonna... It's gonna go nowhere. Chinese people are racist as fuck. So, I read a story just a little while ago about a woman who was afraid that she was going to get beat up by saying no to the guy she initiate sex with during quarantine. Ladies, I understand that you are at a disadvantage when it comes to the strength of men. Most men will treat you with respect. There are some out there that won't. I'm not saying that people are perfect. I'm not saying men are perfect. I'm not even saying women are perfect. So you do need stuff to defend yourself, right? You want to defend yourself from someone trying to attack you. Most people would go for a gun, a knife, baton, self-defense courses, even a taser. But I bet, now, Red Feather, Ishtar, Mitzi, you guys are here. I bet you didn't think of this for your safety. Electric shock underwear. Yeah, no, I didn't stutter. That dumbfoundedness that you feel is actually reading the headline. To combat sexual assault, women are resorting to electric shock underwear. I don't know if this affects you as well. That's a very sensitive area. That's what I'm wondering, Red Feather. I don't know if it shocks the woman too. But this is from Wired. Okay? Ekaterina Romanovskaya froze. It was a warm and sunny day in late May 2000, and the 25-year-old interpreter had just dropped her 3-year-old daughter off at kindergarten in their hometown of Volgograd, in a city in southwestern Russia. With a name like Ekaterina, I'm not surprised it's Russian. When a man she had never seen before appeared behind her. "We need to talk about the little girl," the stranger said. Romanovskaya glanced over her shoulder. She didn't recognize the man, and there was no obvious reason to run, but Ekaterina sensed something was amiss. Without saying a word, she started walking towards her parents' apartment, her childhood home. It was a route she could walk blindfolded. Perhaps she'd lose the unsettling stranger in the crowd. When she reached the building, Ekaterina took the stairs rather than the elevator. It was the kind of tiny decision women make 100 times every day. Instinctive, automatic. But today, decades later, Romanovskaya, now 45, says the decision saved her life. Now, before we get too far, this is not something that just women do. Men do this too. When we are walking down a dark street, we decide things just like women do about what is best for our safety. Except we don't get praised for doing it. We don't get told we did the right thing. We just get told, shut up and protect everyone else. Because when the same strange man who had so unnerved her on the street broke down the building door and cornered Ekaterina in the stairs with a hunting knife, she had a chance to scream. The only thing I had to fight for my life was my voice, so I cried out. Romanovskaya said, "I called for help as loud as I could." Then the man turned the knife on her, and the wall beside her turned red. A fountain of blood emerged from my neck. I reached up to stop the blood with my hands, but my body was totally unprotected. He tried to reach my heart with his knife 3 times, but my bones saved me. My ribs, my collarbone. By the time a neighbor came into the stairwell and the attacker fled, Ekaterina had 9 critical stab wounds to her neck, chest, and torso. God damn, somebody wanted her dead. Her yoga pants were the only thing that had stopped her internal organs from spilling out onto the floor. This is why you don't want to live in Russia. Decades after the attack in 2016, Romanovskaya, along with co-founders Nikita Marshansky and Leonid Breshchansky, that's the last time I'm pronouncing that one. No, she didn't have the electric panties yet. Basically, she was stabbed, and the only thing that was keeping her together was her yoga pants. Launched a NIM, a smart ring, designed to act like a panic button and inform friends, family, and law enforcement if the wearer is in danger. When the man attacked in 2000, she had no cell phone to call for help. I asked myself, what if I'd had a gun, she says. But I decided that a gun would probably have made the situation worse. I don't know how. You get taught how to use the gun. When he comes after you, you fire into his fucking midsection. You go for central mass. Don't try and be slick and go for his head. Just fire at the motherfucker who is coming at you with the firearm. He will run away and probably die of his internal injuries. Like you almost did. I realized that the most important thing is to call for help. You want to know a funny statistic, guys? If you are in a situation and you scream, someone call for help, 80% of the people that are in that crowd will have more of a chance of ignoring you because they don't have the thing in their head that tells them to act. They are there as an observer. As long as it is not happening to them, they're okay. So, calling for help is not going to do anything. What you need to do is say you're in a situation and there's a crowd and you're trying to save your friend's life. You look at someone, you point to them and say, you, call 911. You are now calling them out. They are no longer a person in the crowd watching this happen. They are now becoming a principal actor in the situation. That will trick their brain into going, shit, I need to do something. And in doing that, you will get the help you need. Just screaming for help will not do anything. Just calling for help will not do anything. Because the human brain basically tells the person who's attached to it, it is someone else's problem, someone else will do something. There are very few people out there that actually are proactive in what they do. They don't do it often. So, if you're in a terrible situation, and you are screaming for help, or you need someone's help, do not just scream randomly, because Joe Schmo and Jane Doe will do nothing to help you. Point at them and say, I need your help. Now they have become an actor in your situation, and if they turn it down, then they get to look like the jackasses. Just a little hint, just a little advice, a little tip from me to you. Ekaterina's invention, she hoped, would help save lives. There was obvious public demand for a device of its kind. On Kickstarter, NIM, which means Halo in Russian, quickly raised $160,000 in donations, well over its $50,000 goal. But not everyone was supportive. Formal investors balked at the idea. Of the more than 100 investors Romanovskaya estimates she approached, none wanted to get involved. Almost as bad, Ekaterina says, was the unexpected backlash from the women she was trying to help. It got heated. They told me, stop teaching men how to rape. What? Tumbleweed, I agree with you. Russia is fucking whack. I know you stated that a little bit ago, but I'm emphasizing that with this. But wasn't it just the opposite? Wasn't our aim to take the power away from attackers and put it back in women's hands? I'm trying to get to the fucking electric underwear, but it looks like it's going to take a little bit. There seems to be a technological solution for everything today, from predicting the weather to finding a date. But can technology save violence against women? Sexual violence? Recent attempts to answer that question have varied wildly from the sincere to the absurd. Early this year, an Indian engineer and entrepreneur named Shyam Chashura debuted an anti-sexual violence lipstick gun. an anti-violence, sexual violence lipstick gun. Yeah, I don't agree with that teach men not to rape shit. It's... Bad people are going to do bad things. Which looks like a regular cosmetic, but sets off a loud bang and alerts police when activated. That's all it does? A loud bang? It doesn't have a bullet in it? It's not necessarily a gun. It's a noisemaker. In August of 2019, an invisible ink stamp meant to mark assailants who grope women on public transport sold out in Japan within an hour of its launch. To be fair, Japan is full of men who like grope women on trains because of how packed they are. It's a thing. It does happen. So like the stamp, I think that's pretty ingenious. In China, feminist activists have used blockchain technology to circumvent China's notoriously censored internet and post information about decades-old cases in which a Peking University student, Go Yan, committed suicide after she was allegedly sexually assaulted by a professor. And a few years ago in India, 3 engineers introduced underwear that would deliver up to 82 electric shocks when it detected unwanted force. What? Okay, if that's how it detects where it needs to shock, that means if you get it stuck on your foot or something and you yank too hard, it's gonna fucking shock you. Some of the inventions seem promising, others are outlandish, tongue-in-cheek, or even downright medieval. In 2010, Sonnet Hellers, a former blood transfusion technician in South Africa, rose to international prominence when she announced plans to distribute a rape axe, a barbed anti-rape condom, which I've seen. It's horrible. During the World Cup. Her plans went unfulfilled, though, due to lack of donations. Worn inside a woman's vagina like a tampon, the rape axe would prevent rape, but it could couldn't prevent rape, but it could punish the offender. So, think of a firm plastic condom that is built like snake jaws. It has teeth on the inside of it, so it wouldn't prevent her from being raped or attacked. But once the guy stuck his thing in, he wouldn't be able to get the condom off. It would have to be surgically taken off. Yes, Tom, most of these ways are to turn attempted rape into murder. The rape axe's inward-facing barbs would permit a rapist to penetrate its victim, but then it would clamp down on his penis without breaking the skin the moment he'd withdraw. Once activated, rape axe could only be removed by a medical professional, giving hospital staff or the victim an opportunity to notify police. Eller says the device was inspired by her experience working with rape victims in South Africa, which has some of the highest rates of sexual violence in the world. Ellers met women in towns who, they told her, inserted razor blades into sponges that they would routinely wear inside their vaginas. Yes, it's a dick boot. Just in case. Another survivor of traumatic rape told her if I'd only had teeth down there. So, okay, it's talking about that. Where is the electric underwear? Was that it? Just a little blurb about electric underwear? That was it. Just a... I'm a little upset about this. I thought I was bringing something funny to you guys about electric underwear, and I got proven wrong because Wired has clickbait. So, let's move on to something a little bit more ridiculous. We've been talking about Corona Chan a lot, And since we have been, I think YouTube has eased up on their restrictions talking about COVID-19, so I don't think this is going to be hidden like it has been before. So, if you're not allowed to, if they start telling you, and they being the government, starts telling you that we're running out of food, what would be one of the things that you would do to be able to understand and be able to have food? How's it going, Cinder Shadow? Well, one of the best things you could do is grow your own. Growing your own food is important. A lot of people up here in Washington do it. The ground is very fertile. Ishtar and I are going to actually start doing it sometime soon. But apparently, in Michigan, the governor basically said no. Like, it's illegal to collect rainwater. I get that. I don't know why it's illegal to collect rainwater, but buying seeds is now prohibited in Michigan. But booze, pot, and lottery tickets are okay. Does anyone understand the kind of sense that doesn't make? Can someone please tell me how you get that booze is okay, pot is okay, and lottery tickets are okay, but you can't buy seeds? Flower seeds, vegetable seeds, fruit seeds, whatever it is. Fruit, I know vegetables don't have seeds. I'm talking vegetable bulbs are not allowed to be bought. I don't get it, but let's get in. Let's read this, and we'll understand why Michigan's governor is not going to get another term. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer's latest stay-at-home order is being blasted for lack of consistency and seemingly arbitrary rules regarding what can be purchased and what cannot. Under the new mandate, residents are prohibited from traveling between homes, even one's own second home. In the state famous for its Great Lakes and more than 11,000 inland lakes, operating motorboats or jet skis even by oneself has been outlawed, though boats without motors are still allowed on the lakes. What? Why? You can't have a speedboat, but you can have a rowboat. Okay. Buying seeds in a store to grow one's own food or paint for home repairs is illegal. But Michiganders can still legally purchase alcohol, marijuana, and lottery tickets, which have been deemed essential. God damn. How is it? How is it possible that fucking lottery tickets are essential? Oh, wait. I know. That's because the lottery pays for the state. Booze and pot are taxed by the state. So the state gets money. That's why they're considered essential. But seeds to grow food are not essential. Something tells me that Governor Gretchen Whitmer's not getting a second term or third term or whatever term she's on. I doubt she's getting reelected. A resident tweeted pictures from Michigan Walmart Friday showing the seed selection roped off with yellow tape, barring shoppers from purchasing them. How can you can't buy seeds and you can't buy paint for house repairs, but you can buy booze? All right. You know, I'm not one for... I know I joke about it, guys. I joke about it a lot, especially with California. People are still blindly praising her. They're always going to. AOC looks like a fucking moron on a daily basis, and people still follow her for everything. But, okay, with California, I know I joke about it with their, don't take anything over $950. In this case, seeds are not that expensive. All right? There are reports going around saying that there are starting to be food shortages around the country. Not many, but there's a few. I'm not saying go into a Walmart and take their entire selection. Okay? But in this case, take some corn seeds, some squash, 1 or 2, put it in your purse and walk the fuck out. Because this is fucking stupid. This is something that... Look, tape off the goddamn alcohol. Shut down the lotto machines. I mean, the pot dispensaries don't need to be open unless you have a medical card. Seeds are important for people who need food. Now, it's not like it's instant grow seeds. It's not like you're going to put them in the ground and suddenly you have corn stalks for days. It's going to take a while. But you shouldn't stop people from growing their own food. The sign says, "Attention customers, sorry for the inconvenience. This area is temporarily closed." Yeah. In his tweet, the Michigander blasts the Democratic governor, saying she has banned us from growing our own food. The screenshot is provided. This is dumb. This is fucking dumb. There is... There is... This is epic facepalm worthy. Okay, Cinder Shadow, I get that. They're making hand sanitizer. But they're saying in Michigan it's okay to go buy Budweiser, not hand sanitizer. They're going, okay, go buy booze. This is... Guys, this is getting a little insane. Don't you think? Now, I understand that people are still kind of in a panic. A couple of weeks ago, a bunch of states were starting to shut down. I think it's something like there's only 10% of states that are not in some form of stay-at-home order. Canada is in a lockdown. Countries are locked down. This is a scary time. But not forcing the public to not buy stuff that allows them to grow their own food? Why? I am not a conspiracy theorist. But doing stuff like this, it makes you think, why? Why are they doing this? It's odd to me. Now, there's a lot of mandates that are going to be trying to be pushed through. Like the big one we have right now is the bill that's going to be giving everybody money. And I like that. That's helping the people. And yes, the bill does have money allocated to other businesses and things like that. Something like $3 billion is going to the airline industries. I understand why money is going to businesses. Because the money that is going to those businesses is to help keep them open, pay for employees, things like that. I don't like it. I don't like being self-quarantined. I'd rather be working. You know, I've called 20 times today to try and get into unemployment. Every single time it instantly went to a recording basically saying, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are experiencing high volumes. Please call back at another time. I don't consider it a bailout. I think it's not necessarily bailing them out. It's keeping the employees paid. It's not... Millions of people have lost their jobs. And there are people going around saying, yeah, Trump now has the highest unemployment rate. How does that feel? He's such a shit president. No one thinks that this unemployment rate is because of Trump or how he handled the coronavirus. It's because people have basically been told, you're not allowed to go to work. Not being able to grow your food, not being able to collect rainwater. What's next? Not being able to build on your own land? You're right, Steve. It's not the end. Over the next month, over the next couple months, after this bill gets finally passed, be ready for the government to try and push for more power. Be ready for them to push bills that you may not agree with, but has a good idea behind it. They're going to try and grab for more. So this one good deed, this one good thing that the government is doing during this pandemic, now there's more, I'm just pointing this out. They're going to add more to this. So be careful. Keep an eye on what's going on. They're telling people not to go out and vote. I understand why. But they're also saying don't do mail-in ballots? Why? Well, there's too much... there's too much for voter corruption. It's too light on voter corruption. It's too easy for them to do things like that. Voter fraud. I'm not going Alex Jones on you guys. What I'm saying is be prepared for this. The government is going to grab for more power. Look at what happened with 9/11. Everyone was so in shock about what happened that something like the Patriot Act was passed. And people don't like the Patriot Act. It's very invasive. If you don't think that the government is going to try and reach and overreach, man, I got a bridge to sell you. So I'm going to say it again for what seems like the 8th time. Treat each other the way that you want to be treated. Don't panic. Use your head. Make sure you guys are doing what you need to keep yourselves safe. I don't know how things are going to turn out. But if you just keep a cooler head about things, if you do the investigation on your own, don't believe what people say at face value. You will survive this. It will get better. It will get back to normal. It sucks right now, guys. It does. I know. I know for a fact it does. But you guys, as awesome as you are, you guys are the front lines out there for yourselves. You have to take care of yourself, your family, your home. And when it comes down to it and they start trying to reach for power, you got to take care of your own state. And by taking care of your own state, you'll take care of your country. Steve has it right, a nail right on the fucking head. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. And unfortunately, guys, that's all the time I have for right now. Thank you for coming here, spending time with me, listening to me rant. All the weird news. We have some jokes. We had some good times. But remember, keep yourself safe out there. And I hope you all have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next Sunday.